I'm back, and so now we want to talk some more about physics. And we need to talk about what is a stress. So, a stress is going to be when you apply a force to an area. And so, you can do a simple experiment illustrating what stress is with a pencil or a pen. So, if you take the rubber end of your pencil and you press it against your finger, okay, you can determine how much force you're applying by how far back your finger goes. So maybe push your finger back a centimeter. Okay, see what that feels like. Okay, then flip it over so you get the pointy end of your pencil. Push your finger back the same distance that you did before. So that means that you're applying the same amount of force. And you should notice it hurts more because it has less area. So the point of the pencil has less area than the rubber tip does. So when you've got a fraction and you make the bottom part of the fraction smaller, then what comes out gets greater. So that there's two different ways of increasing the stress on a rock. One is to increase the amount of force that you're applying to the rock. And then the second way is to decrease the amount of area that you're applying the force to. So the force does not have to be perpendicular to the area. Okay, so the force could be like this, where the area is up and down, and then the force is coming in at an angle. So you'll notice that in these pictures here, it's kind of illustrating that the force is always perpendicular to the area. So the first one is going to be a uniform stress, and so another name for this is pressure, confining pressure. So when you bury a rock under the ground, you have the weight of the rock pushing down on it, and then you also are going to have pressure on either side of it, and then you're going to have pressure underneath it. So it's completely surrounding it, and so that's going to be called confining pressure, and that's one way of metamorphosizing a rock. Okay, then another kind of stress is going to be caused by tension, in which you're going to take the object and you pull it apart. So this tends to happen like at diverging zones, where the plates are being pulled apart, and that causes the rocks to stretch. Okay, you can also have compression, and so an example of this would be at a converging zone, where you've got two plates that are coming together and they're pushing against each other. And then finally you've got shear stress, and so what this is going to be is when you've got two forces acting on something, but you notice that the two forces are not going against each other like this, but they're kind of offset. And so you can see how that's going to cause a rock to bend like that. And an example of that would be the transform zone. So places where rocks are being pushed across each other. So that would be a shear zone, a shear type of stress. So what we want to see is, how do these various kinds of stress affect a rock? Okay, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how do these stresses affect the minerals inside of a metamorphic rock.